the wood cut and the one-way are good tools, but they're restricted. Yeah, it's the same radius. They do have longer knives for different size bowls, but they're restricted. You make the same radius all the time. When I was looking for mine, and I saw the McNaughton, and it's infinite. You can do with it. There's different sets. There's the large set of knives, a medium set, got that one next up, and a mini set. Now these are not inexpensive tools, any of them, all three of them. You're probably looking at close to $400 for just a basic set. Then if you want to buy additional knives, you're talking about close to $100 more for each new set of blades. But I can tell you, it's probably one of the best investments you can make for saving time and saving money, because you can get a number of bowls out of this instead of it all ending up on the floor. You get an expensive piece of wood or a beautiful burl, and if you're selling your pieces, you're going to pay for that set, and 2 or 3 sets of bowls you're going to pay for it. So it's a worthwhile investment. Let's start with the blade. When you get a set of new blades, and when you're using them, this is the way just let me explain one thing. I am not a production turner. I don't make bowls the same way. I don't make 2 bowls the same way. So when I bought this, I was not looking to make nested bowls like you see Mike Mahoney make them. If you bought this set of tools and you're planning on going to make sets like Mike Mahoney does make, good luck. I want to just be able to get 2 or 3 or 4 other bowls out of a piece. Because even out of a given burl, I get 2, 3 or 4 bowls out of it. They're not the same. I do not make the same kind of bowl out of them. I've had people buy a huge bowl from me and later call me and say, make me a set of small salad bowls. They're not going to be the same. I just don't like to do that. It's not my thing. Right? I'm not an architectural turner. I don't do too much spindle turning. I'm a faceplate turning, but I can't remember the last time I used a faceplate. But I use a chuck. So I bought it to save the wood and not end up on the floor. So when you get a set of these, I go through them and periodically do it when I'm using. I use either a file or a emery cloth and get the bumps and nicks out of it. Right? You want it smooth to go through your post. There's 3 pieces of this. You've got your post assembly, which holds the tool. You got the blades, and you have a handle. You can also get the extension for it. I've seen wood turners turn with this without even using the handle. They just hold on to here or make a lighter handle. I like this set. I very seldom use the whole thing. It is big and it's heavy. I find this comfortable. A lot of people say it's too heavy. This post assembly holds your blade, holds the tool. The large blade has a place, the medium blades have a place, and the small blades have a place. When you use this, you want to set it up. Take your biggest blade, set it up so it's at the center. You should be able to leave that set up. You don't have to move it. You can change all the blades and they end up on center. Once you set that up, it stays there. You don't have to change it. Are people having trouble with that use it? Okay. Because it's stepped here, right? And thank you. The other thing is, seeing as how you can leave that where it is, it's a good idea to make a stop for it. This is ideal for my one-way. It's way off here for Butch's thing here. So if you make something, you can use a clamp. I cut a piece of PVC pipe. You don't have to change it. I put a little drop of super glue on it so I don't have to, it won't fall off. So once you set it up, you can turn with any blade and it'll be at the right position.
Don't say it.
He's the guy that asked for this.
Yeah, look at it. I'm not the only one that's interested. I brought some shit. I got some questions.
So there's that's a little care for these and to make sure they're going to run smooth. Now sharpening these, the only thing on here that cuts is this thin little piece of high-speed steel on the top of it. So you have to be kind of careful. Hey,
Make off.
you want a pretty aggressive burr on here. So you want to use kind of a coarse, whatever you prefer, a diamond or a stone, and you just stroke it up. Only use it on a wheel to sharpen it if you nicked it or you have to reshape it. And you have to be very careful because once you whittle this down, you throw it away. Because there's just a small little cutter on the top of this. It's tacked on there.
The cutter's not replaceable?
No. These, if you use them a lot, will bend. You say you can't break them, but they will bend a little out of shape, and they do get heated up. So you can put these in, you could put it in a vise and use a large pipe clamp on the end and bend it back into shape. And what you would do is, even though these sets are, one's big and one's smaller, you can use the same one from another set to get the good curvature in it, the same curvature in it. Let's see. When they first came out, we didn't have anything. When they first introduced this, the cutter looked like this. It was square across the tip. Is that coming out? Sorry about that.
He's got it.
And then they later changed it to this. I've seen some wood turners change it back to this. Somebody just told me tonight that they'd rather have it this way. I find this works very well. Right? The other thing you want to look for when you buy a set is, this is what it should look like. The steel part should be slanted underneath so your cutter sticks out. Sometimes they come through and they're flat, even sometimes they're rounded out like this. When you're deep down inside a bowl, that's going to be hitting and your cutter isn't going to be hitting. So just put it on your grinder and grind it back to this. Be careful, don't hit the cutter. You can just grab that tool steel back so it's slanted. If anybody's got comments or questions, jump in. There's a number of ways in turning, and those of us that have been turning, to do this, to put your piece on the lathe. I use a chuck screw almost all the time. Right? Those that haven't, See, you can stick these in a chuck, they make longer ones. If you have a long one and it's too long, you can make spaces for it. There is, when I turn, I don't turn the small bowl, then the bigger bowl, and then the last piece. What I'm looking for is that big bowl at the end. Right, so I can take the first big bowl off the end, then I have a way to remount this back on. You've already got the center there. Turn the screw around, put the tailstock up, and you can return a tenon on it. Right. An advantage, what I really like about hooking it up this way, I do a lot of natural edge bowls, some really wacky stuff. So when you set it up here, you can use your tool rest here, and being that it's just held by the center, you can augment that any way you want to even out the top or do what you want on the top with it, and then just yank your tailstock up. That's a good advantage.
Could you explain what you just said a little bit? I missed it.
So when this is turned around and the screw chuck is holding it in the, there they go. So this is in the chuck, right?
I understand now. I thought you were doing it the way you have it right
No,
now.
no,
That
no,
makes
no,
sense.
this has got to
Okay,
be
yeah.
in the chuck. But this, even if you've taken a couple pieces out of there and had to put this in and out of the chuck a couple of times, even if the hole gets sloppy, you can still, it'll still hold it in there, and it's safe, it isn't gonna come out. It's very unlikely that the bowl's gonna take off on you, right? And it allows you to make any adjustments that you wanna do.
So you get symmetry on
Yeah.
the side.
I understand that. Everybody in the front row for the sign waiver?
Ken, you got a question?
Ken, you have questions?
Question over there.
Do you recommend just the worm screw that comes with your chuck, or is there a specific brand that you
No,
recommend?
you can buy them, most truck manufacturers have them, but you can buy them, hence, everybody has them, yeah. If you're gonna buy one of these systems, you gotta have a lathe that, a good sized lathe, at least a 1 horsepower motor. Right. And you need torque. Most lathes have 3 speed ranges on them. I do most of the work on the middle, and sometimes I have to go to the low end to have a lot of torque when you've got a big chunky burl on there. Because it needs power, it needs torque to go through it. And if you're having a problem turning, I can almost guarantee that most of the time you're not turning fast enough. You gotta have some speed for this thing to work. And I'm not a technical guy, I don't measure a lot, I don't know what the speed is. I've got all kinds of measure tools, I subscribe to that he who dies that has the most tools. I've got all kinds of measuring tools hanging up in the drawers, and most of them have dust on them. Here's my measuring tools here, here, and here. If it looks good, speed, you say, what speed do you want? I put a piece on, I have a one-way, it weighs almost 1,000 pounds and it's bolted to the floor. I put a piece on, and when it starts shaking like it's gonna take off, I back it off till it smooths out, and I turn. So I have no idea really what speed it's at. So I'll attempt to show you. I have never done this. I learned by trial and error the way I use it. But I'll try to lay this out, and if you're new at this, you should start this way. And if you've been using this for a while and having trouble, you should probably go back to this and learn the fundamental of doing it. After you do understand it and learn it, you can start doing shortcuts, right? And this this process, this part of the process, you can use just turning poles, and you don't have to be, good idea is to get the distance from your headstock to the end of your jaws, right? The part that touches the wood. So this is about 4 7/8, right? So now you want to identify the bottom of your bowl if you're going to make it an inch thick. And again, this is kind of green wood. I had to look to find this. I don't turn green wood. I turn almost 100% dry wood. I have it available. Turning green wood and setting it aside, you rough turn it, set it aside for 6 months or a year. I don't have the patience to wait for that. I like to turn dry wood, finish it. Right? There are times when you want to turn green, a thin piece, let it deform, you know. I turn mostly dry wood. So what we can do is, so 5, 4 7/8. So now just take and say you're gonna make it an inch thick, just for easy. Does this spindle lock wood?
Yeah, you got a button right there, right?
Yeah, but does it, you have to hold it?
You gotta
Yeah.
hold it.
Give a look.
All right.
Well, good. You lock it all.
I don't have a pin for it.
All right, let me just turn that knob on it over here. Wow. Come on. All right, that's good. So if you're doing a recess here to hold your chuck, you really don't have a good idea where the end of that chuck, the jaws are. So you're guessing where the bottom of your bowl's gonna be. So and I've made a couple of cheaters for the different chucks, so you don't have to measure it. You've got a piece of wood or plastic or something that's already that length that tells you how long that chuck is with the. So I do not do all this measuring, I have to confess to you. Now, these blades go from, I don't know what the low one is, something 5/16 the thickness. If you use 3/8 as a guideline for the kerf, thickness of the blade, so there's that. I don't know, can you pick that up?
No. I think they can see it better than I can see
All
it.
right. So the next one is going to be another inch, and you have 3/8. And then the next one, another inch and 3/8. So let's say we're going to take 3 bowls out of there, right? I really should have the other thing. So now you want to do the same over here. Here's an inch. We're going to be guessing at this. Here's 3/8. We have another, this little. Here's another inch. Here's 3/8. Thanks. And let's just do the other side here. Inch. Around 3/8. We got another inch. 3/8. So this is going to be 1 bowl, 2 bowl, and 3 bowl in here. Where is that? This is going to help you. This is going to help you line up your blade to keep you from making funnels. Because you can only sell so many funnels. People run out of them fast.
You mean like this?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I have them, we all have them. We all have them. Let's see, where's that?
Framing square easier?
What's that?
Or framing square easier?
Well, you want it level. Alright. Okay. Always put your base at this angle. It gives you more strength, there's more of the base strength on here, as opposed to putting it this way. How do you choose which blade to use? I think I've only done it a couple times to start turning with the small one. Do you want me to try doing that? All right. Let me show, just let me show you.
Comfortable.
What's that?
Do it the way they're comfortable, that's.
Yeah.
Let's, so let's see what we got here. This is how you choose which blade to use. See, that's almost the same radius as the bowl. So,
You turn the outside based on the blade then?
all of them. So you have to change blades.
Right.
That's why it's nice to have a stop here,
Yeah.
because when you change, you don't have to, right? Yes, please.
No, I just wanted to see, because people that leave them get a chair.
Yes. So, you should be able to, we're gonna go for the bottom. So, if you line this up at the bottom, end up here, and then sweep it around in this kind of a motion, because you want, this is how it's gonna go. This is your entry. So, look down the handle, Joe, don't you move. That red pencil right in your pocket. So when we start to cut this, this is where we want to start with that handle that's pointing. Because you're going to go in like this. Got it?
Yeah.
It's supposed to work. Let me give you a little trick.
Rich is the one over here.
What's that?
He's the one in trouble.
He's in trouble? They didn't give you a shield and a mitt, catcher's mitt?
I'll just grab him and pull the hand.
If you're gonna, see, I don't care about, when I turn, I don't care about this. I want this first big bowl. When I put this back on, it's the next big bowl. If something's gonna screw up the little one at the end. If I go through this way, I don't wanna screw up the nice big bowl, especially if I've got a nice big burl on there. So, but those that wanna do it that way, you can take the straight blade from this one, or a detailed gouge, or and follow these going around. Now see those going around. Take and just make a V where they are. The first one, the second one. Now it gives you a channel to put this in when you start to cut. So you have a groove for this to catch in. Right. You take the first one, you know my measure go? You know how many inches deep, it's 2.5 here, how deep this first bowl, the bottom is gonna be. It's gonna be here if you've done this right, or close to it. Take a bowl gouge and do this first bowl. Do this first bowl, well, that's not round, is it? That's gonna be the inside of your bowl, and it's gonna be taken out like this. Then you go to the next bowl. It's really one you're gonna take out, but you're gonna end up with 3 bowls. Right? So it's a good way to start if you're starting to do it. And if it's you've done this and had trouble, it's a good way to go back. After a while, you don't do this, you just look and say, oh yeah, that's where it is. You know. Here's how you start. These are made thick up here, thin over here. I made this mistake myself. First thing that comes to mind, you say, man, I want this as close as I can get it. Right? Start right up close. Mistake. Wobbles. The hardest part of starting these is the entry. Start. This doesn't move very well, does it?
Never has.
Start it with the thick part of it. Hold it out here and start. It's going to be steady. This is an older model. You need to hold this. It's not very many hard and fast rules in this, just like wood turning. What works, works. ABC, anchor it, bevel, cut. There's some hard, fast rules. This is one. You need to hold that up there. It doesn't take a lot of strength. You can just hold it up here. What happens if you've got it down here and that wood is turning? You're going to have a grandeur of a catch. The bowl's going to go flying or you're going to get hurt. So make sure you hold it up here. The newer model of this, the Mark 8, which is Joe's, they've improved on it. They put this chamber on it. I'm not quite sure how it works because I haven't tried one. You lock the blade into it, so you don't have to hold it up there. It's a good improvement. Does anybody have this one with it? How's it work?
Well, I only got it about 3/4 of an inch and decided I'll wait until I've seen it done.
Oh, really? I've seen it done. I haven't done it because mine doesn't have it. But it just makes sense. It's going to hold it. It's going to hold it in place. You don't have to keep it.
You don't have to fight gravity.
Right.
It faces. And things flying through the air.
Yeah. Takes out lights. It takes out, yeah. So theoretically, if we start this, aiming at Joe's red paint, it should curve around and hopefully not go through the bottom.
That was why you did the lines with the level.
Yes,
You wanted to-
yes, because now you know where to start. And we lined up this line on the top with this line. You sweep it back, because that's the curvature of this, the radius of this bowl. And this is where we need to start. Does it always work?
You have to sweep it all the way out to the tip, then basically, to tell.
Well, yes, when you do that, yes, because, yeah. Yeah, because this is where you're gonna go in, right here.
Right.
The initial, yeah. All right. These get hot. You can lubricate them. I use a product called Slip-Ease, and who just mentioned Clean Sport. I bought this, I think, 7 or 8 years ago. Anything you want to slide, you can use it on here, you can use wood. I coat the blade with it.
Don't stop there, do the whole bit.
Yeah, don't stop.
Not that much left. Anything you can do to help it slide. They will get hot. For you new people doing this, it's gonna get caught up, you're gonna make funnels, it's gonna jam up. Practice. You're not gonna be Mike Mahoney the first time, let me tell you. So, let's try this. It's a different lathe. I'm gonna take the switch first.
It's in there.
Yeah, oh, well, I wish it was then.
Medicinal purposes only.
Let me give you, and you can, there's a great video out there. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Dale Bonertz, he's on YouTube, Bonertz. He really does a great job demonstrating this. He didn't like any of the ones that are out there. He said even Mike Mahoney, he knows it so well, he doesn't tell you about the little nuances.
What was his name again?
So you miss that. We could, I'll have this, anybody wants to copy it down. Yeah, I've watched his a couple times. He's really good at it.
I have none.
That's reversed.
Now, you should stop.
Yeah, okay. You got it reversed.
So sometimes it depends. I brought a couple of girls that if we have time, I'll show you how to cut one with a natural edge. It's not nice and clean like this. Sometimes I make bowls thick just because of the bark, and I want to highlight that. So that's why I make individual ones, and it's not, doing all this measurement really doesn't help me the way I do it. But you should understand how this goes to get the fundamentals. Let's see. Who did that? I usually turn a little faster than that, but his blade is jumping around.
This is on and off,
That's
that's forward
for
reverse.
emergency, all right, yeah. So, you don't have to force it, let the tool do the job, you just hold it. Some people say, actually Mike Mahoney, I believe, Mahoney, is to kind of sway it back and forth. Some people say yes, some people no. Again, what are you comfortable with? What works for you, right? When it starts, when it starts binding up, these blades have a tendency to expand to the outside from the heat and from the pressure that's in here. more than likely it's gonna be rubbing on the outside edge. So when that starts to happen, you can come back and take a little bit off this entry point on the outside, not the smaller bowl, but the outside, the inside of the outer bowl. And it gives you another chance to go in there without it rubbing. Joe, am I helping you any yet?
What?
Am I helping you any yet?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, you are.
So let's see. Red pen. You can hold it up against it. Yeah, the speed a little bit more, look better. Now, if you've got a little bit of Evel Knievel in you, you can do this while it's running. This is cutting nicely. So, see this little bit of chips here? It's not a factor here, but sometimes they really get jammed up there. When you see that, ooh, boy,
That's
wow.
far enough.
It is done. When you see that, push it back a ways before you start to lathe up again, and it'll have a chance to come around and clear them out. If you leave them there, it's a good chance it's not going to do it. So, oh yeah, look, it's a little wiggly. Oh, there's your bowl.
Now,
Excuse me?
how close did you come to the bottom? You were planning on it?
I would say it's pretty well perfect. You can come up and see.
You said that the tool was thicker in the back.
Yeah, well, come up and see.
Well, you said the tool was thicker in the back and narrower in front.
It's thinner here.
Right. How come it doesn't jam up in the top?
Cutter's wire.
The cutter's wider.
Ah, the cutter's, okay.
It's the tapers to help get rid of
Tapers.
the chips.
Yeah. This lets the chips come out.
What's one of those tools cost?
The basic set, and they're all pretty much the same. Handle, tool post, and one set of blades, whichever one you choose, was $400. I probably have around, give or take, $600 in the set.
I lucked out because they had them on sale, I buy the whole set for $4.50.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that
As
was
soon as
the
I can find a segmented tree, I'll
yeah.
think about getting one.
trouble is, it's $4.50 sitting in
But,
the
but
box.
you, so you say, wow, that's a lot of money. I make a decent sized bowl and 2 or 3 other ones with it. It almost depending on the wood, if it's a really outstanding burl, pays for the set. So, it's an investment. And it, you know, there's stuff on the floor here, but if you would just doing this bowl with the bowl gouge, it would be all on the floor. And if I started a little thinner, you'd get at least another 2 out of this, you know. Want to see a natural edge one?
Yeah, but Kenny, what would you do with the, just 2 seconds on this, so you put the thumb screw, the worm screw back in there and turn around?
Yes, so see, you already got a center.
Put 10 on it and do it again?
You put the screw in,
Yeah.
put it in the chuck, it's already, bring up your tailstock, turn the tenon on it, turn it around and go.
Thank you.
Now, what I didn't cover is, say we did it the other way. What am I gonna do with this one? Just jam the chuck right back in here. Bring your tailstock up, and no matter how good you are, you're always gonna end up with ridges in here. And you've got ridges on here, so you can line that up pretty darn close. Bring your tailstock up just to hold it, and you might have to adjust it one way or the other. Turn your, right. Put the back in there?
Yeah, I've got a good picture.
Oh wait, it isn't straight. So, you initially look at this system, this tool, say, man, that's really intimidating. But it isn't if you understand it and play with it, you know. It just, it's like riding a bike or driving a car or riding a horse or sex. You read the book, you gotta get on the horse and ride it, so.
Got a couple recommendations, if you are turning, if you are, when you're turning wood, especially if you're new at this, I'd probably highly recommend, since the green wood is it's gonna be a lot easier.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'd probably recommend going with a little bit larger set of jaws in your chuck, because even as a narrow tendon with a strong hull chuck with a number 2 jaws, there's a good potential of splitting the piece right off the blade.
Good point. I have it in my notes. I hadn't got to it yet. Make the tenon as big as you can to fit the biggest jaws you have. After you learn it, you can make them a little slower. Because one good catch, depending on the wood species you got in there, it'll rip right off the tenon.
More readily with green wood than dry wood.
But it's easier, the wetter the wood is, it's easier to do. I do this with dry wood all the time. Sometimes it's, and with burls, the grain is all over the place. It gets a little hairy. So let me take this off. And again, I'll sacrifice to get the piece that I want. It's not, I'm not after quantity, I'm after that big bowl at the end, depending on the bark. And when you're turning with a bark, we want to save the bark. I would do the same thing that I explained here. Either the straight blade or a potting tool. You start the cuts in there, put a kerf in there, and start them a little bit with the straight tool. And that's when I take really thin super glue and glue the bark on all the edges to help save the bark. All right. So here's a piece of cherry burl. Let's see what happens with this. We open a door or a window? Hot, it's hot in here.
We're cool back here.
Yeah, we're fine.
And incidentally, any turning, doesn't have to be doing this, there's a reason they put 2 of these on chucks, you know? And set screws, the reason there's 2 there, tighten them both up.
Is that the piece you said you're gonna give to me when you're finished?
Yeah,
Did they say that too?
it won't be finished.
You gotta catch it.
You gotta stand there and catch it.
So let's switch to a smaller blade. See, that thing is still warm.
Got a bucket of water over here.
It's not that warm. I've
Straighten it
had
out in the other room.
them smoking.
Get it on.
I've had them smoking. What's that?
I just watch it, I'm sorry.
No, that's great. I think this one might do it. You know what, we're gonna go with the large one. Because I don't wanna end up short.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
You ran out of tool before you get.
so this doesn't, you know, when you put the handle on here, so I wanna make sure that I can reach the end. Yeah, this one might, this would probably do it. Yeah. Let's go with the middle one.
We don't want me to see that there.
Where? Here. Oh, fell. So this is a middle-sized one, so we go on the middle chamber, right? And there's no measure in here, we wing it. I want it to be a little thick, because I want this bar. So, we may be on Joe's red pen again. Hot red cup.
Don't move.
Don't move. Chips are coming your way.
Al, do you have a set?
Yes.
This set?
Yep.
All right. Want to try it?
Sure.
I got another one. That was really far. That was a little too thick. So you see what happened? Tore it right off. That 10-inch should have been a lot bigger. It would have worked.
That's why
why he wanted you to try.
I set him up, he didn't take it.
Now, how will you salvage that?
I'll put
Cut a
the,
bigger tin down?
yeah, because I still have,
Oh, okay.
put it back in and return the tenant. Even go inside if I have to. Right? I don't know, let's see if we covered it. Any questions?
When you say you can make an infinite amount of shapes
Yep.
with this tool, how can you do that when I've got a radius there that's part of a 360-degree circle?
Boy, this is. You gotta move this better.
I tried to get you to do it.
By attacking this differently,
Okay.
you could just make some adjustments all over the place with it.
We got
I can do the
different
same
shaped
with
knives.
that too.
So you're almost doing it
With the wood
closed
cut.
form, the outside of the closed.
Yeah,
form.
you're restricted though, it's,
Yeah.
right, it's, yeah.
But this, you
Unless
got,
I'm
you
mistaken,
got
somebody
different curves
showed
on
up with
the
a
knives,
system with a bracket and a laser on it.
depending on your entry.
Oh, you can, that's, yeah, actually, I had that on my last, is that this one? Yes, that's $108. And this will show you where the tip, where this tip is inside.
There, see the tip?
So you line this up with the tip, so no matter what size you're doing,
You know where you are.
you'll know where the tip is. Takes the guesswork out of it. You'll see that laser on the outside and follow
But the
it.
thing is, what, I've watched Mahoney do 2 different demos, okay? And I still struggle. Although he said ash is a bitch and but what you said with the cutting, you know, plumbing your lines here and here, and then get Joe to sit out there with a pencil, you know, so that you do your approach. 'Cause I always got, I don't know where I'm going. I never,
That's because you don't have Joe and his pencil.
I know.
You gotta have him
Joe,
come to your house when
he
you
won't
want to
come.
turn.
He won't come. He's only come once.
Pain in the ass.
I haven't got one of those, but someday when I got $108, I don't know what to do with it.
Well, you know.
That
Ooh,
bracket also is from McNaughton.
Yes. Yes.
Ken, so how do you adjust yourself with that, how do you adjust yourself mid-cut if you can tell you're not going where you want to go?
You can come out and come in again, so you could take a little more out of the inside edge here,
Okay.
right?
Would you have to readjust your,
And you gotta determine whether you wanna take it off of this one or the inside one.
Okay.
You know, and how thick you've made this, if you got some fat here to play with. So you come in and take a different angle.
Yeah, take off a little bit on the outside and the inside edge and then on the other.
Right, and then, so now this is gonna go in at a different angle.
Okay.
And
you're gonna end up with a notch in there.
And this always tends to go to the outside. So that would indicate that the outside is tending to be thin. So if you do want to reorient it, take it off the inside bowl.
And you care less about the little one anyway.
You're right. I have, at any given time, I have a pile of the inside, maybe the last one on my shop floor. I don't particularly care making the small bowls, but every once in a while I say, oh, I gotta turn some small bowls. So,
And the straight blades are just for making.
actually, most wood turners say hang it up somewhere. You don't really. It make a nice parting tool. It's good to make those initial valleys, you know, to follow it. yeah. Ever use the straight one?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
I've known a couple guys who decided they heated them up and they bent them.
There you go.
Optional curve.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever dimension that they wanted to.
I mean, you could make cone shape out of it, you know, straight, yeah, yeah. I haven't used mine too much,
Right.
no, no. And actually there's, in all three sets, there's probably two that you use all the time,
Right.
right? Yeah. So,
Honestly, I think if I had to buy it over again, I would probably buy a couple of the blades and the handle and the tool.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Because we very rarely use, again, depending on the size balls you get.
It's like buying a set of gouges, right? There's gouges in there you'll never use. Buy individual ones. It's, yeah.
So if we are starting out, what would you say the three or four that you would recommend?
What size lathe do you have?
Well,
How big of bowls do you make?
I can't get, I only have a mini, so.
You don't want to do this on a mini. Even with the microblades, you don't want to be doing this.
No, but he has friends that have one way.
Ah,
Yeah, what's
I would say the middle set. Because you can, just because you have the middle sized blades, you can still make small bowls, you know. You can still make small bowls with it. If you have the small set, you're not gonna make big bowls with it. Anybody wants to come up and look at them closer? You got questions? Hope we were able to help you a little bit.
Do you prefer this type jaw or a dovetail jaw?
I have some one-ways, I have some, yeah, what's the, Nova blades, yeah.
Yeah, but the jaw itself.
Oh, the jaws itself? These, I like these, they grip, you know, with the serrated edges, yeah. I have some with tower jaws on it, you can make a tenon this deep, you know. It's,
Mostly I use either the number 2 or the number 3 dovetail.
yeah,
Instead of leaving it.
That's
and
why I
like,
prefer the
and like we
dovetail.
say, the better you get with this, the smaller tenon you can make. But depends on the wood. Some of the burls I use are pretty nasty, they're pulpy and stuff. So you gotta be careful.
Thank you.
We wanna see nested bowl sets at the next meeting.
I'm not going in.